So we have another 4 minutes in hand. If anybody has any queries, you can ask them, or we can just wait for the participants to join.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Namaste. Hari Om.
Bina Raghavan Bagni, your phone is upside down.
Actually, I put it on sideways.
Okay.
Okay, so you know it is. Okay, fine.
So we'll just wait for a couple of minutes and then we can begin.
Shubhodaya.
Hari Om ji. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste, Dr. Poonam ji. Namaste. I request all participants who can turn on your video feeds, please do turn on your video feeds. It's much easier to interact that way.
Namaste.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om. Hari Om Shiv Shankar ji. Hari Om Rakesh ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. We'll just begin in a couple of minutes. Alright, I think now we can begin. Let us begin with the invocation to Ma Saraswati. Hari Om. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Hari Om. We are now going to begin our journey into the Bhagavad-Gita. Before we start in the first adhyay, can anybody recollect anything that we saw in the last session? So every day for a couple of minutes or at least 5 minutes, we'll just have a brief recap and establish a link with the previous day's session. So anybody can recollect anything from yesterday's session. You are most welcome. And again, I request all participants, please turn on your video feeds. This is like a protocol I will follow. Ultimately, what participants wish, they will do that. I have noticed it in all batches. I can only request, like the attendance in a flight, they make a request to tie the seat belt. So like that, yes, please do turn on your video feeds. It's much easier to interact that way. Yes, please. Yesterday, what was it that we saw?
What are the oldest scriptures? What we have, and that is we understood that is Vedas and this Apurva, and then we understood what are Upanishads, and that is a part of Vedas, which is called also Vedanta, and the essence of Upanishads are delivered in Bhagavad-Gita. That's why we want to study Bhagavad-Gita, and it was told Bhagavan himself to Arjuna in the middle of the battlefield. And the Vedas were in classical Sanskrit, whereas in
Vedic Sanskrit.
Vedic Sanskrit, and we have the present day Sanskrit, which is called classical Sanskrit. And there are about 701 shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, which forms the part of Mahabharata, which has 100,000 shlokas.
Ji. Yes, Srinivasan ji. Thank you very much for the introduction. Anybody would like to add a little bit more to what Srinivasan ji that said, Shiv Shankar ji shared? First,
We said that
yes.
the age of Bhagavad
We
Gita
also-
is 3,000 years old. 5,000 years old.
Okay, it was approximately or roughly.
Approximately
Yes,
5,000
yes. Ji, yes,
We
yes.
also discussed that how what is the significance of Bhagavad Gita in today's life. So we were
Ji.
just having views on why Bhagavad Gita, why we're studying at today's age.
Yes, what is
when
its
it is like
relevance?
such an old
What?
scripture.
Yes, yes.
What is its relevance in today's age?
Yes. Actually, Sri Aurobindo has called it the manual for perfecting the human race. The speciality of Bhagavad Gita is its relevance even now. It is like in every era, it is having a new meaning for that particular period. If you see in the freedom struggle, again, Bhagavad Gita had played a very important role because that time it created a great awakening in people. Bhagavad Gita was used by greats like even yesterday we saw Lokmanya Tilak. He used the principles of Bhagavad Gita for creating a bunch of karma yogis for the highest cause of the nation. One beautiful shloka, some participants from Maharashtra feel it is actually coined by Tilak, who have not studied the Gita. This karmanye vadikaraste mam phaleshu kadachana, it is synonymous with Lokmanya Tilak because he was living that. He was a living example of that particular verse. So this Gita has been giving meanings at different times. India is free now, and yet we see people screaming for Azadi. And now, what is the real freedom? They do not know what they are seeking. Again, if people want to understand the real meaning of freedom in this free country also, we will have to recognize Bhagavad Gita's role, Bhagavad Gita's importance. Let us see its relevance. We have seen that modern medical fraternity has found it to be very useful because it is having great psychoanalytical what we can say principles embedded in it. Krishna's method is being replicated by many psychiatrists. How Krishna dealt with Arjuna, what are these higher principles. So all these factors, I think we have established the need for Bhagavad Gita's study in today's age. So with this we will begin. Before we begin the first adhyay, before we start, I'll just share an illustration. Before every adhyay, we'll have one illustration. So you can just look at the illustration and tell what it conveys to you. So please look at the screens when illustration is displayed. Yes, please. Can somebody tell me something about it? What do you see in the illustration?
Can I say?
Yes? Jeep, yes, please.
So the first thing that I see is that the child has some blocks or something like that, and he's a little confused. Like, what do I do? He's not able to sort it.
Chi.
And then the mother comes and she's just guiding him. And in the third picture, I can see that now when she just guides and then she's not there in the third picture, she goes away. And now in the third picture, the child has already, he's actually figured it out and created it because he had a guidance in between.
Yes. So what could be the summary that we are drawing from it?
How to create balance?
Okay, Shiv Shankar ji says how to create balance. All right. Yes, Deepti ji, you
The
were.
importance of Guru.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What I feel is like it
Guides.
looks like of like how Krishna was there for Arjuna when he was confused, when he was in the battlefield thinking about what do I do, how do I face my own relatives, and how do I just have the courage to even kill them in the battlefield. So Krishna comes to his rescue and guides him that and gives him some lessons.
Okay.
And then he figures it out. Okay, this is the clarity that I have now. Now this is how I'm going to build upon it.
Okay. Deepti ji has found a good relevance with Krishna and Arjuna. Vasudevan ji shared about the importance of Guru. As we see in this, there's a tagline at the bottom of the image. At the bottom of the image, if we cannot find any solution, we must never hesitate to ask for help. And to whom? To a teacher, to an elder, or even a trusted friend. This is a big principle because many times youngsters, kids, they easily ask for help. But when adults, they feel, no, now we cannot ask for help. But now let us see how it's relevant to this adhyay. I think we already got a small brief introduction by Deepti ji. Yes, please.
Can I say something?
Yes,
Like, when you
yes.
said ask for help, right now we all are in this session to understand the details of Gita, and so we are asking a help from you to make us understand. So as an adult also. So
Ji.
so that's like as a grown up. I mean, we are all here. We have an example. They were not hesitating to ask for help from you.
And I am
To
going to
just
ask
guide
for
us in
help
Gita.
from Krishna in the Gita. So I think it will ultimately we will go to him. Yes, yes, ji. Thank you, Adipti ji. Yes, please. So I think with this we are ready. We are ready to start our first adhyay of the Gita. Before that, we saw that the scenario. Where is it? It is now beginning in the palace. It is in the palace of Dhritarashtra in Hastinapur. That is where the Gita starts. So I think yesterday we had a brief recap. There was a great battle taking place between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Huge armies on both sides. A great big war was going to take place. Now Dhritarashtra got an offer from Vyasa. Vyasa said, I will give you that drishti, the ability to see what's going on in the battle. But we know Dhritarashtra is a blind emperor. Blind means from the beginning he could not see. That history, I think, is known to all. Now, all his life he has not seen. Somewhere in his mind, he knows that his children are not on the right side. And he knows that it's going to be a very difficult battle. Though the Pandavans are outnumbered by the Kauravan side, which Dhritarashtra perceived to be his, still, it was not going to be a cakewalk. Each of these were heroes on the Pandavan side also. Nobody was just going to, there was going to be a lot of mortality. They say it was going to be a Mrityu Kshetra, a Kshetra of death only. And Dhritarashtra felt this was not something he would like to see in his life. So instead he said, please arrange it that let this vision be given to Sanjay. Let Sanjay relate everything and let Sanjay speak. I will hear from Sanjay. I do not want to myself see. So Vyasa gives this Divya Drushti to Sanjay, and we are going to be hearing from Sanjay's words, what happens. So somewhere we are also like Dhritarashtra. We are going to be listening to Sanjay and trying to understand. And Sanjay will perform what we can say modern day news reporters. Only they're not going to add, it's going to be proper reporting. Maybe the modern day reporters can also take a leaf out of Sanjay's book on how one must report. But let us see now. This is the story. It first begins in the palace. It begins in the palace. Shiva Shankarji is, yes, Shiva Shankarji has added. Sanjay was also blessed to know what's going on. So, yes, he had this Divya Drushti. How he had this Divya Drushti, all of this entered the realm of Mahabharata. We are not looking at Mahabharata in our session. Let us just get into the Gita. What technology, what was there to see this, all this, I think, let us leave that aside. Let us directly enter into the scripture. We will see what's happening here. The first adhyay, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. The blind emperor Dhritarashtra asked the oracle, gathered together in Kurukshetra to battle, assembled eagerly to prove their mettle. The Pandavas and my Kauravas poised for a fight. Oh Sanjay, what happened there? Share me your divine sight. So I'll just repeat this once more. This shloka is actually telling us why the entire Mahabharata took place. If there was a change in Dhritarashtra in the very start, probably Mahabharata would not have taken place. If anybody can identify it, it will be wonderful. I'll just repeat it once more. Gathered together in Kurukshetra to battle, assembled eagerly to prove their mettle, the Pandavas and my Kauravas poised for a fight. Oh Sanjay, what happened there? Share me your divine sight. Yes, please.
It's my usage. My.
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 Okay. Okay. Yes. Ji. Yes. Multiple participants have shared. Yes. Pushpa ji, Rajshri ji. Yes. Yes. My. Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva. This very division we can see is there in the start, in the outset, and in whose mind? In Dhritarashtra's mind. What was so difficult for him to look at his Pandavas also as his? They were his brother's children. Why did he not feel that between my children? But this division was the source right from the beginning. Another aspect we see Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. So they know this place. This was a very sacred place, this place of Kurukshetra. The first Kuru king had done great service and it was a blessed place. One more meaning is that Dhritarashtra also knows this is a Dharma Yuddha, and when it's a Dharma Yuddha, one side is for Dharma. By default, the other side fighting Dharma becomes the opposite side of Dharma. So Dhritarashtra knew that as well. So this division, Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva, there's a beautiful Sanskrit Subhashit which says, Ayam Nijaha Paro Veti Ganana Laghuchetasam Udara Charitanastu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Meaning this person is mine, that person is others. This is the way of the mind of a narrow-minded person. But the broad-minded person can see and think and realize that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is one family. Beyond bloodlines also, if you can recognize your relation with the world, that is the way of the wise and broad-minded persons. But here we see that Dhritarashtra is already having a divide. When the father is having this divide, what is he going to do? He is just going to pass it on. It is going to the next generation also. And now, nowhere did Dhritarashtra ever want anything bad for his Kauravas, though he saw them to be separate and unique. He loved them, but unwittingly, his way of thinking, all of that was going to lead to this great Mahabharata, which was going to lead to a lot of loss to all of his Kauravas, the very ones he loved. So we see here the attachment. Sometimes we will see the principle of attachment when it's introduced in Gita, what Krishna says. But here sometimes we can see that attachment makes a person blind, and the best example is our Dhritarashtra only. He allowed why didn't he hold the ear of Duryodhana at the right time? Why did he not scold him or teach him? All this time he felt he was doing good for him. Now he has just pushed him into the mouth of a very terrible battle. So he's there, he's asking Sanjay to report. Let us see what Sanjay says. We can assume Sanjay is sitting in Padmasana in his chamber of Dhritarashtra, and then Sanjay begins. So through Sanjay we are going to enter into the Kurukshetra as well. Let us see. Sanjay Uvacha Drushtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudham Duryodhanastada Acharyamapasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit. Sanjay replied, seeing the Pandavan army approaching, King Duryodhana then began speaking. His teacher's attention he sought to invoke. To Dronacharya, the following words he spoke. So the Pandavan army is approaching is what Sanjay says, and the son of Dhritarashtra, the king Duryodhana, leader of the Kauravas, he is observing the mighty army approaching. So he turns to Dronacharya. Dronacharya is the guru of both the Pandavas and the Kauravas, but due to his compulsions that we saw, he was going to serve the throne. How was he going to serve the throne? God only knows, because this is not the service to throne by allowing an incompetent leader who is cruel to sit on the throne. But his allegiance was shown. He was on the side of the Kauravas. So now he is the military leader of the Kauravas, and the king of the Kauravas, Duryodhana, turns to the military leader and he says the following words. Pashyaitam Panduputranam Acharyam Mahatim Chamum Vyudham Drupadaputrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. One more thing is, we will look at these shlokas. If you have any queries or you want to relook at a shloka, you can always ask me anytime in the middle also. So here he says, O Acharya, to Dronacharya, O Acharya, behold and cast your glance at the Pandavan army's battle stance. The sons of Pandu and Drupad have thus arrayed. See the battle formation that they have arranged. So he says, Acharya, look at this army. Look at the battle formation. I think we yesterday also saw it was a Dharma Yuddha, meaning there were rules for battle. It was not some guerrilla warfare which takes place most of the time in the modern times. Each army would have a battle formation, they would decide and they would proceed in that particular formation strategy with counter strategy. If there was a Karkata formation, there was a crab type of formation. Just one second. Bharatji has put a request. You want, what do you want, Bharatji? The shlokas is in the shloka number? Yes?
Sir, can you please present the shlokas so that we can relate what you're saying?
Present, I am orally, I am not capable of that. I can only speak it out. You can have any book of the Gita with you, no, for reference, Bharatji.
Okay.
Yes, yes, please.
Thank
Thank you. Hari Om. So this is shloka number 3. So he says to Dronacharya, "Behold, cast your glance, let your eagle eyes fall on the army which is approaching. Look at this formation. The children of Pandu and the children of Drupad. Look how they have arranged." Now, what tone do you see here? Do you see the tone of a Shishya talking to a Guru, or you feel a different tone here?
No, if we see a different tone, actually he is trying to remind the Dronacharya the earlier enmity between Drupada and Dronacharya to prompt him to, I think, fight more vigorously. That may be his idea.
Okay, Shishya is now prompting. Okay, Shiv Shankarji. All right. Yes, Deepti will like to add something.
It was more like an order, not
Okay.
treating him like a guru anymore.
Yes,
And it was
yes.
the order, like, I'm going to be the future king, so you just follow my orders.
Follow my orders. And I think Shiv Shankarji is also added that he was trying to remind. So somewhere everybody knew that in the heart of hearts, Bhishma, Drona, everybody, though they were on the Kauravan side, all the Pandavans had gone to take their blessings, because even though you are our opponents, we respect you and our love and respect will not change. So please give us blessings. And except Vijay Bhavatu, they gave all the blessings to them, because by protocol they cannot bless victory for their opponents. That was the only thing. And somewhere there was an insecurity in Duryodhana's mind, and he wants to remind, see, the children of Drupad have come. Look at these children of Pandu. Both are our enemies. Look at their formation. And yes, it is not the tone of a Shishya to a Guru, there's a tone of arrogance. But what can the Guru do now? The Guru is also bound here. His own allegiance, his own personal commitments have made him listen. Now he'll have to receive orders from a Shishya. That is what situation he has come into. Let us see. Fourth shloka. Atra Shura Maheshwasa Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharatha. Now we will be seeing a small introduction, an introduction of various heroes that are present on both sides. So while this is very significant in context with Mahabharata, in the Gita we will not be seeing references or repetitions of these characters who are going to be introduced. These heroes will be only mentioned in the first adhyay. For us, we are concerned with our Arjuna, Krishna, and Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. Once in a while we'll see Dhritarashtra. Otherwise, it's basically going to be Krishna and Arjuna. So we will not focus on all these names. These names in the reference book, I have given a small glossary of all these names. Otherwise, you can also Google these names and get the backstories of each of them. So here, Duryodhana is saying, he says, "Here stand in the battlefield the mighty warriors, the great military heroes and archers. To Arjuna and Bhima, they are equal in skill and might. Yudhana, Virat, and Chief Drupad are all ready to fight." He says, "See, look at these opponents." He's telling him, they're all equal, they're all great skilled warriors. They have Yudhana, there is Virat, there's Chief Drupad. They're all equal to Arjuna and Bhima. Arjuna and Bhima were already considered super powerful juggernauts. Arjuna was the best archer. He was known as Parantapa, meaning harasser of enemies. Great tapasya he has done to achieve so many skills that enemies would flee. Not just one or two enemies, armies would flee when they knew Arjuna was approaching. Same was the case of Bhim, Rukodara. He was like a juggernaut. No force could stop him when he was on the roll. So he says these are all heroes. Each of them are skilled in their own place. Look at Virat, look at Yudhana and Drupad, all of them. He goes on, Drishtaketush Chekitanaha Kashirajascha Viryavan Purujit Kunti Bhojascha Shaibhyascha Narapungavaha. Along with them are also lined the valiant. There is Drishtaketu, king of Kashi. There is Chakitan, most brave amongst men. Purojit, Kunti Bhoj, and Shaivya. All are brilliant warriors. Then there are other warriors also. I will just name them and we'll go to the seventh shloka. So I'll just say there is Uttamauja, there is the young Abhimanyu, there is the son of Subhadra, that is Abhimanyu, then there is Yudhamanyu, there are the 5 children of Draupadi also. Each of them are master warriors. Each of them are masters in their own fields of. Yes, Rakesh, did you wish to ask something? No, all right. Each of them are generals in their own fields. They are survey Maharatha. So Maharatha is also a post like we have in medicine. There's something called super specialization. After completing your masters, then people go to the higher stage and they specialize in a particular thing. So like that, each of them was a Maharathi, and meaning Maharathi, their own regiment, like regiment has a flag. Like that, Maharathis, each of them had a different flag as well, and they had a set number of people in their group. So these were all experts, each of them in different warfare methods. They were all experts, he says. But now let us go to the seventh one. But Duryodhana says, still what? So what? Look at our side now. Asmakam tu vishishtaye tani bodha dvijottama nayaka mama sainyasya sanyartham tan bravimite. O best amongst Brahmins, let me now confide and introduce the great warriors standing on our side, the prominent amongst the generals and leaders who stand ground to lead our armed warriors. Says, listen, see, let me now confide now. Who is there on our side? The great generals, the great leaders who are standing ground. I have a question is why does Duryodhana need to tell Dronacharya who is standing on his side? Does not Dronacharya know? Anybody? What could be the reason?
It is just that Duryodhana is reminding in his own head, like consoling himself
Yes.
only.
So
Yeah,
we are
it's like
stronger.
okay, I have something. So it's just okay. Don't worry. Like,
Some kind of insecurity he is trying to.
some kind of insecurity. He's just not telling. Actually, he's not telling Dronacharya. He's telling this thing to himself.
Okay, all right.
He's just
G. So somewhere his own inner insecurity he is trying to take it as. So what if these heroes are here? Look at our heroes. They are more powerful. They are greater. So he says, let me now explain. He says, next one more word. He says, Dvijottama, best amongst Brahmins. Now, what is the meaning of this Dvijottama? What is this Dvija? Anybody has heard of this? Meaning, if you see in Sanskrit, twice born. So, best among the twice born. What can that mean?
Brahmin is supposed to be twice born.
Why is
But
that,
after-
Vasudevanji?
Once you are born, when you are born, and then once you learn the Vedas,
Okay.
then you are born again through a guru or.
Okay, Guru Diksha, we can say. Yes,
That is when they have the cross-thread ceremony, they
Okay.
have another birth.
Actually, that's a symbolic aspect, is it not? So that aspect of the thread is also like a second birth. This second birth is a birth which happens when Diksha is taken from a guru. And this is not generally only anybody who takes a Diksha and gets the new birth, that person, maybe on the spiritual path also, when a person's new awakening starts, that is the second life which starts in that person. The new perspective, new direction, everything is obtained for that individual. And here, he is Dvijottama who has given birth. He has given not just what we can say Astra Shastra, also other Shastras were also taught to the Shishyas. The way of life, they lived in the Gurukul, all of them. They learned from Dronacharya, and Dronacharya had given birth to so many great ones who were like gurus for so many other people as well. So he's saying, oh, best amongst Brahmins. So that way, the one who has given new births to so many people. Yes, the sacred thread ceremony has a significance, but more than the ceremony itself, the significance is there a birth of new consciousness in the individual? That is more important. And then anybody who has got that new birth can be called a person who has got that second awakening. So this person, Dronacharya, has given new births to so many people, and Dronacharya is being invoked by Duryodhana. See, he says, look who is in our side. Now he goes on, Bhavan, meaning you. So as if Dronacharya needs to be told, you are present. The insecurity is palpable in Duryodhana's mind. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Krupascha Samitinjayaha Ashwathama Vikarnascha Saumadattis Tathaivacha. Yourself, the mighty grandfather Bhishma, Karna, and the undefeated Acharya Kripa, each greatest amongst masters matched by none, also are Ashwathama, Vikarna, and Somadatta's son. So he says, say, you are present, O Guru Dronacharya, you are there. Then again, he doesn't call him Guru, he just say Bhavan, you You are present, he says. The king speaking to a leader. Then there is Pitamaha Bhishma. He was considered what they say the backbone of the entire Kauravan army. Nobody had the power to slay him, is what was believed. Karna is there. Again, Karna is equal to Arjuna, and Karna's job, according to Duryodhana, was to neutralize Arjuna. The threat from Arjuna was to be neutralized by Karna. That was all Karna's role in Duryodhana's mind. So there is Karna. Then there is Acharya Kripa. Kripacharya is also there. Kripacharya has never lost a fight. So he is again a complete victor. Each are masters, and there is no equal anywhere for these experts. There is also Ashwathama. There is also Vikarna. There is also the son of Somadatta. There is son of Somadatta. Again, our Duryodhana speaks. He says, "Anye cha bahavaha shura madarthe tyakta jivitaha nana shastra praharanaha sarve yuddha visharadaha." Many other great ones have come to partake, sacrificing their lives to battle for my sake. The advanced specialists of all forms of weapons have come to battle, all of them, victors and veterans. So again, I repeat this, many other great ones have come to partake, sacrificing their lives to battle for my sake. You can see all these people, they have come to sacrifice for me. Each of them are experts, each of them are veterans in different fields. So my question is, has everybody come out of love for Duryodhana because Duryodhana is such a great person, we want to sacrifice our lives, or they have come out of compulsion? Are they all having a great love for Duryodhana because he's righteous and just and loved by the praja, so they are defending the will of the public? Is that why everybody is coming, or they have come out of different reasons?
No, it was not out of love. Definitely not out of love.
And the arrogance is again visible when he says, see, all these great ones are coming to die for me. Now that's not the dialogue of a righteous king also.
Okay.
Especially
I'm
when...
saying, die for me, not for a purpose or a goal or something.
Yes.
For me, say.
For me. So my ahankar is most important, and for my ego, look how many people are willing to die. This is not a cause which is worthy of fighting also, an individual's ego. When there is something, a higher purpose, then that is a worthy mission, not anything which is so limited. But Duryodhana's view is already governed by his own ahankar, so he cannot see anything more. But look at the plight of our Guru Dronacharya. Despite being a guru now, he cannot speak anything. He might be angry at these arrogant words, but now the guru has lost his own ability to speak to the shishya, because now maybe he has conceded that because Ashwathama was getting some favors, maybe I have to not speak now, or I am no more a guru right now. Guru Pad of Dronacharya has already lost. It's visible here because he just has to listen quietly. He goes on further. 10th shloka. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam paryaptam tvidamete sham balam bhimabhirakshitam. Because see, the Bhishma's army is like aparyaptam. Means when Bhishma is guardian, with Bhishma as guardian, our army is unmatchable, fearless in combat, and looks highly unbeatable. So if you see, he says Bhishma is so powerful. Bhishma alone was enough. Bhishma alone was enough to end the battle, according to many. If you look at Bhishma, he says, with Bhishma as guardian, there is no match for us. You cannot compare with anybody, he says, this army. But then look at the army of Bhima. It is so less formidable, it is so limited. But in this very process, he has already brought a comparison and made Bhishma and Bhima equal, because now he has himself compared the incomparable, saying, look at this, look at this. We are uncomparable, yet in his mind there is a fear, there is an insecurity. And as he is seeing this, he is probably not so happy with Dronacharya's facial response, though Dronacharya is happy, is not speaking anything. Somewhere the anger in Dronacharya's face is visible, because next dialogue is to the entire group, all his leaders. He says that अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा यथा भागमवस्थिताः भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि. So Bhishmamevabhirakshantu. He says that is why his insecurity makes him give this order. He says, and so to all of you I thus request and ask to perform this singular and important task. Stand your ground during the battle and protect the revered Bhishma, whom we so respect. So he says, see, that is why I want you all to protect Bhishma. This is my order. Duryodhana says, protect Bhishma, stand ground. It's like he's saying, it's okay if you die, but protect Bhishma. Protect whom? It is like trying to protect a nuclear weapon. Why should a nuclear weapon need extra protection, or you send another weapon along with that? Bhishma did not need any protection, but Bhishma doesn't have a choice. He has to also obey. And in this process of trying to make the army protect Bhishma, he is again adding vulnerability to their military strategy. But all have to obey because the order has come from the king. Protect. He says, die if you have to, but don't leave your position. Your job is to only protect Bhishma, and Bhishma is going to be in the center. So next comes the beginning of the conches. So the first step would be the blowing of conches, symbolic of the battle that is going to take place. So it starts now. 12th shloka. Tasya sanjanyan harsham kuru vruddha pitamaha simhanadam vinadyochaihi shankham dadmau pratapavan. The senior most got the first of respect of blowing the conch, and on the Kauravan side there is this Pitamaha Bhishma. He blows the first conch. Grandsire Bhishma, the Kuru clan's eldest, whose very presence enthused even the strongest. Like a king lion, he sent out the fiercest roar, and the sound of his battle conch sparked a furore. So Pitamaha Bhishma blows the first conch, and Bhishma's presence is like that. When Bhishma was present, strong people would feel more stronger in his aura, just surrounded by him. So that was his power and towering personality. So he first, like a king lion with his white mane, he blows the first conch, and then after him, the entire Kauravan sides begin. ततः शंखाश्च भैर्यश्च पणवान कगो मुखः सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त सशब्दस्तुमुलोऽभवत्. Next echoed conches, cymbals and chorodrums, and all the horns, trumpets and kettle drums, all at once in a singular, cohesive sound, and their noise proliferated a tumult around. So then after the Bhishma, then there was this Bhairya, there was Shankha. After Shankha, Bhishma Shankha, there were so many other sounds. There were drums, there were trumpets, all of them started at a time. And what happens when so many sounds are played at one time? It becomes one singular loud sound, and that is exactly the feeling that went everywhere. Tumulo bhavat. This is interesting that Sanskrit word tumul has an English word meaning of tumult, T-U-M-U-L-T. It is very similar in the pronunciation as well and the meaning as well. Anybody knows the meaning of this word tumult, T-U-M-U-L-T, in English? Yes?
Tumultuous.
Yes, yes.
Tumultuous is a big noise or a big disturbance or
Yes,
something.
a disturbance which creates a great confusion on the inside. Yes, Deepti ji wants to add. All right.
Confused noise,
Yes,
basically.
yes,
Loud, confused noise.
yes. So it's interesting that the Sanskrit word is tumul only, just the same as English, with the same root words maybe. So here, what has happened is now these all sounds at one time, it's like one cohesive sound, and that has just proliferated a confusion. This is probably a very happy moment for Dhritarashtra because confusion is now there on the Pandavan side. But before he can celebrate, we hear Sanjay speaking. He says, this is just one side. Now he's speaking on the other side. Sanjay says, on the other side, what's happening? Tatah shvetairhayairyukte mahati syanandane stitau madhavah pandavaschaiva divyau shankhau pradadmatuhu. Then in a magnificent chariot drawn by horses white, Arjuna and Krishna came into my sight. Both sounded together, their conscious divine, seated in their vehicle, splendid and fine. So if the beautiful chariot was there, a very nicely decorated chariot, and there were white horses pulling that chariot, and he says, from that chariot I could see, in that chariot led by Krishna. Krishna was the charioteer for Arjuna. The great emperor has become a charioteer for Arjuna, and he is there, and then they blow their conches. There's a very interesting story why Krishna is a charioteer. Because Krishna had a great army as well, a Narayani Sena. But there was the rule, Krishna would not participate in the battle, because if he participated, whichever side he already had so many weapons, he was so powerful that his presence would make it a unfair battle. To keep the fairness, Krishna would not participate. But then there was the question of Krishna's army. There is the Narayani Sena of the great Yadav empire, and who is going to get that? So there was, instead of a fight, Krishna said, I will, the next day morning, he said, when the discussion was going on, he said, the next day morning, whomever I see first will get to choose. You can choose either my Yadava, the Narayani Sena, which can be equated to modern day big regiment of only SWAT commandos. They were very disciplined champion warriors, or you want my counseling and advice. Arjuna wanted to probably only the advice of Krishna, but there was like nobody should get the first chance. First chance also should be a free, fair event like a tossing of a coin. So he said, first person I see the next day, that person can choose. So then Krishna goes to sleep. That day, Duryodhana is also by his side. Arjuna is also by the side of Krishna, waiting so that Krishna wakes up in the morning. First person who Krishna sees will be able to choose. Now, what Duryodhana does is he sits just next to the head of Krishna, sure that when Krishna wakes up, he is going to see him first. Now, I do not know what logic he had. Nobody directly opens their eyes and looks up. Whenever they wake up, they look towards the feet only. But our Arjuna, known by his humble nature, he preferred to press the feet of Krishna. Let whatever good has to happen, let it happen. Whatever divine wills, I will take the opportunity and touch the feet and serve Krishna. So next day morning, naturally Krishna opens his eyes, and when Krishna sees Arjuna first, he says, Arjuna, choose. And without hesitation, Arjuna says, Krishna, I want you, not your army. Duryodhana was gleeful and happy that, chalo, I have got the army. But this value of Krishna was known to Arjuna. Krishna's presence was something he really sought. Though Arjuna did not know the full power and strength of Krishna, he knew a lot of mysterious things happen around Krishna, and Krishna was having certain special abilities, and he knew that he has a divine personality, and he was confident Krishna will guide me to victory. So let Krishna be my guide. Krishna says, I will not just be the guide, I will be your charioteer. I will drive your chariot. And so this is the scene. Krishna enters into the scene driving the chariot of Arjuna, and both are ready to sound their conches. Now, my question is, what is the logic behind the sounding of conches? Anybody? What is the use of all of this generation of sound? Does sound have any effect that way on a person or any person's being or thinking or way of functioning? Yes,
It's just to motivate the people.
it is just to motivate the people.
Not
Vasudevan ji,
just to motivate, to motivate.
to motivate the people is what Vasudevan ji is saying. All right. Positive aspect of sound is known. We
And
know.
also,
Yep.
Bhishma might have done it to
Vibrate.
shut up Duryodhana.
Okay.
So the way to shut him up is
Okay, yes, he's speaking too much. Let's now end the conversation. Enough. In a very dignified way. Okay. All right. Yes,
Sound, basically, if you see sound in a general way, it has some vibrations.
yes.
So when we like in general also when we hear the chord sound, it creates certain aura, it creates certain vibrations.
Yes. Okay.
So
All right.
so
Ji. Yes, Deepti ji is saying sound has its own effect. Savitri ji wants to add something. Is it, Savitri ji?
To show the power.
Okay, so there's one more reason is probably to show the power. So yes, the sound has its effects.
Also to show the readiness.
To show the readiness. Okay, yes, Shiv Shankar ji. All right, so we see positive and negative effects are there of sound also. Nice sounds, Vedic chants, or some other mantras, or some peaceful nature sounds, flute or instrumental music, that does make us very calm and peaceful. But at the same time, disturbing sounds can have a negative effect also. And here, this is a combination of sounds trying to one side boost the army, which is playing these sounds, and the other side is to empty the morale of the other opponents as well. So this dual function is there, and that is why even modern times also many wars would have with regiments. In North Korea and South Korea, they had actually, because one nation had banned Western music, they sent people with loud radios and loud speakers playing Western music to disturb the morale of the other side. So the sound has its function, and here we see different conches being started. Each conch has a story that way. This Pandavas have so many stories, but we are not going to all of it. We'll just look at the names. You can yourself look at it later on. They are available in different books as well. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjayah Poundram Dadmau Mahashankham Bhima Karma Vrukodaraha. Sri Krishna has God gifted Panchajanya, and Arjuna, the divine conch Devadatta, and the most fearsome Pandava, Bhima, blew the mighty pounder. So see, Panchajanya was this conch of Sri Krishna. Arjuna had this divine gift of the Devadatta. Then the fearsome Pandava, Bhima. His name is Bhima. His conch's name is also like him, only Poundra. It is a very powerful conch. Then remaining all, Ananta Vijayam Raja Kuntiputro Yudhishthiraha Nakulaha Sahadevascha Sughosha Manipushpakau. And then Kunti's son King Yudhishthira sounded his conch Ananta Vijaya, and the brothers Nakul and Sahadev, respectively Sughosh and Manipushpaka. There was this king of Kashi, there is war chief Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virat, all of them, and Satyaki also. He was again another undefeated person. All of them also began sounding the conches one after the other. Drupado Draupadeyascha Sarvashah Prithvipate Saubhadrascha Mahabhahu Shankhan Dadmu Pruthak Pruthak. The 18th shloka. Drupad, mighty Abhimanyu, and all the children of Draupadi, all of Draupadi's sons. O king, from all directions their conches bellowed at once. It was as if from all directions, even the 10 directions were now reverberating that sound. It was going everywhere, is what Sanjay is reporting. Saghosho dhartharashtraणाम hridayani vyadarayat nabhascha prithivim chaiva tumulobhya nunadayan. The call of the conches sunk deep into the Kauravan heart, sending a ripple of fear even in their greatest stalwarts. So fearsome, a shudder spread through the ground. Even the mighty skies reverberated with the terrible sound. So it seems not just the ground, even the skies are reverberating this great terrible sound. And this call of the conches, it sunk deep into the Kauravan hearts, sending a ripple of fear even among the great heroes on the Kauravan side. Such was the force of these conches, is what Sanjay is reporting. So my question is, why? Why do you think was a fear there in the heart of all the Kauravans? But we did not see the same fear in the Pandavan side when the conches were sounded by the Kauravan side. What was the reason? What do you think could be the reason that a fear is there on the Kauravan side? Yes, please. Anybody? This sound made them disturbed.
The sounds of the conches, one by one, were actually piercing to the hearts of the Kauravan army.
Yes, sir. Ji.
Creating fear.
Yes, but my question is, why are the conches of the Pandavans creating fear and not the conches of Kauravan's side? Because it is.
Kauravan side, they did not do it one by one. It was all together, and it was not a conch sound at all. It was a combination of many sounds which had no effect.
No. This also, it started one by one, Shiv Shankar ji. Okay, yes, please. Yes, please. Ji.
Because it's like when they're hearing the sound, it's hitting their conscious. So they deep down know that something is that what they're doing is not right.
Oh, okay.
And especially when it comes from Krishna's conscious, so they know that he's on the right side. So
All
it's
right.
their conscious which is killing them, not the conscious sound.
Yes, Deepti ji has pointed out. Yes, Savitri ji wants to add something. Yes, please.
If it was a dharma yudh, so they know they were not in the place of dharma.
Yes. So somebody who is doing wrong always has a slight amount of guilt, if not more guilt, on the inside. And that guilt is what most of the time brings down the person completely, because they know in their hearts that they are doing wrong. This was there. So the Kauravan side was having 7 lakh plus soldiers. They were much more powerful. Yet we see Duryodhana insecure because no, what if these people win? I don't want to give them any chance. All of you, please, I do not allow. If Bhishma falls, my army will become slightly vulnerable. So I want my army to remain invulnerable all the time. So all of you protect Bhishma. So this all insecurity is there inside, that gets amplified by these conscious, because somewhere they see it's not going to be a cakewalk, and maybe what if this side really wins? And they are doing it as very rightly said. What is the purpose? What is their mission? It is not an ego. These people are, we will die for this, it's no problem. We will uphold this dharma. This is the way of thinking of the Pandavan side. Even all the kings, they knew they are going to be outnumbered. They knew that the great gurus, Kripacharya is there is Bhishmacharya, all these ones are against them. Yet consciously they came there because they knew this is the side I have to fight. I have to uphold the dharma. So they are already ready. They are ready to face the worst. But this is the army. This army, despite having the numbers, despite having the strength, does not have the high morale because they don't have the high mission to serve. So let us go on further. The 20th shloka. अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रकृते शस्त्रसम्पाते धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः. Observing the Kauravan combative stance, Arjuna, whose chariot bore the flag of the legendary Anjaneya, ready to battle by raising and lifting his divine bow, and equipped his quiver with deathly arrows to let go. So, looking at the stance, Arjuna has now picked up his great weapon. He has held it high, and his arrows are also getting ready. He is going to slay. And Arjuna was known for sending arrows with surgical precision into the hearts of the opponents, no matter how far they are. He could perfectly aim just exactly at that exact point that where he wanted to strike. So he raised his Gandiva, and his flag, the flag of this great Maharatha, is none other than Anjaneya himself. There's a beautiful story. Kapidhvajaha means the symbol of Anjaneya is there, and it was not just the symbol. The great Maharudra, our Maruti, had given assurance, my presence shall be felt, my presence shall be felt in the battle. I will be there with you. And it was not just some soothing words, it was a direct physical presence. That is why Arjuna is equated to sometimes Rudra only. The force of Rudra is going to, because when Rudra moves around, it's like how the Rudra moves, there's a force which is unstoppable. And that was exactly why Arjuna was called Parantapa, harasser of enemies. So Arjuna is ready to attack. We see a full killer instinct, fully conscious. Arjuna is ready now. What does he say? Rishikesham tada vakyam midamaha mahipate. Arjuna uvacha senayoru bhayor madhye ratham sthapaya mechuta. O king, then to the divine charioteer Krishna, the following words were spoken by Arjuna. I want you to just please look at Arjuna's way of speaking, or what is his confidence, what is his mindset. You can understand from his words. Next two shlokas we'll just see. Three shlokas, 21, 22, 23. Between the two armies, I request you to take our chariot into the battlefield center for my sake. He says, take my chariot right into the center of the battle. It's like storm is coming, I'm running right into the storm. I want to go and face it. Let me go to the center. Now, is this a wish, a death wish? What is he wanting to do? Why does he want to go into the center of the battle? What does it reveal? Arjuna's in mind, there is fear or there is confidence? Confidence. Yes, yes. Let us see. Now he explains why he wants it in the next shloka. He says, Yavadetan niriksheham yodhukaman avasthitan kairmaya saha yodhavyam tasmin rana samudyame. Unless this warfield, I closely observe and see those who desire to wage this battle against me. I cannot assess the warrior's strength and might and decide the opponents who are worthy to fight. So he says confidently, I want to go to the center, mark the positions of my opponents, and I want to decide which opponent is worthy of my attention today, which opponent I am going to slay today. He is fully confident, and he wants to now just assess the opponents. What is their position? Who is present where? Which side he is going to attack first? All of that he wants to study. यत्समानान् अवेक्षेऽहं य एतेऽत्र समागताः धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेः युद्धेः प्रयच्चिकीर्षवः. All those who have thus gathered here, I wish to see all the warriors from near, the alliance of well-wishers that has combined to support the cause of Duryodhana's false mind. Now he's seeing that I want to see the well-wishers of this false Duryodhana. He is understanding all around falsehood. I want to see all of them, he says. From near, I want to see this alliance of well-wishers. How? How they have joined. Let me see all who have come, is what he says. What do you think now about Duryodhana's, about Arjuna's way of thinking? Is it something similar to Duryodhana or is it a little different? Yes, please. Do we see confidence? Do we see insecurity?
There is no insecurity in Arjuna.
There's no insecurity. All right. Yes, there's no insecurity. Anything anybody would like to add further to what has been just shared? He is confident. There's no insecurity.
And also, I would like to add is that because Duryodhana knows that his conscious, deep down he knows that he's wrong, but Arjuna knows that he's not wrong, and he has that assurance that he's not wrong is obvious. Of course, he's there, and because Krishna is also on his side, that's like a stamp that he's on the
Okay.
path.
Okay, Ditiji is saying yes. So these are all a lot of positives, and he knows. He says alliance of well-wishers. So even if his guru and everybody are on the opposite side, he says they are on the wrong side now. That clarity is there. But somewhere we see a slight bit of ahankar that yes, I am on the right side also. Here he's asking Krishna. He's not asking Krishna. He's saying, Krishna, take my battle, take my chariot inside. Now he's as if he's talking to a charioteer, not to the Krishna he knows. He's not asking for advice. He's saying, no, take it in the center. I want to choose my opponent. Now here he was there for advice. He could have sought his advice. But here we see Arjuna, though on the right side again, he also has a little bit of an ahankar that no, I'll go here, I'll fight. So let us see how this helps him or it doesn't help him. Sanjay goes on, next shloka. Sanjay uvacha. Eva mukto rishikesho gudakeshena bharata senayoru bhayor madhye sthapayatva rathottamam. Sanjay spoke, O Emperor, as per the words of Arjuna that were uttered to divine Krishna, who then drove their chariot magnificent in between the two armies that were present. So as per the words that were uttered to the divine Krishna, Krishna very nicely obeyed and he says, okay, I will take it to the center. He takes it quietly to the center of the battlefield. भीष्मद्रोण प्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्यैतान् समावेतान् कुरुनिति. So the first words of Krishna are visible here, though they say it is second adhyay he speaks actually. But in the first adhyay we see some small words. What are they? Let us see. Facing Bhishma and Dronacharya, the commanders, and all the other kings and the mighty leaders, the following words escaped the lips of Krishna. These are the Kurus you seek to battle. See, O Arjuna. So Krishna says he listens, he obeys what Arjuna wants, and he says, okay, he goes to the center and he says, see, these are the warriors you seek to battle, standing in front of Bhishma and Dronacharya. So far, can we say Krishna has done something wrong here?
Not wrong. I think he was testing Arjuna. He was taking him in front of Drona and Bhishma.
Okay, yeah.
Not putting him anywhere, no?
Yes. So see, everybody blames Krishna for doing. What did Krishna do? He has done nothing. Absolutely harmless.
He was really testing Arjuna whether
Okay.
he's really
Okay.
up to it.
Okay, Vasudevanji says Krishna was testing Arjuna, but if you ask Krishna, he will say, I just did what Arjuna told me to do. He has taken the chariot right into the center, but where has he taken it? Right in front of Bhishma and Dronacharya. And Krishna just sees one word. He says, see, these are your opponents. Arjuna already knows. He says, I want to see. Yes, Deepti ji.
It's like facing the fear.
Facing the fear.
You facing the fear. Like these were the people whom you have always like looked up to and have been brought up by, and I mean all skills you have is because of them.
But yes, Deepti ji. But was this Krishna's? Whose idea was it? Was it Krishna's idea or was it Arjuna's idea to go there?
It was Arjuna's idea to go in, but Krishna did not stop him because he really wanted him to face. And
Yeah.
it was just like if he, as a guardian, as a guide, if he would have thought it is, he really wanted Arjuna to like take a lead and
Okay.
think, okay, what he's doing, whether it's right or wrong.
All right. Deepti ji says probably Krishna wanted to give Arjuna a chance of introspection. Now, this is the one special thing. Krishna does what you ask him, and then afterwards, your karma bandhanas you have to face. He does not say anything else. So, he has taken him there. He says, all right, these are your opponents. Now,
Are you asking whether probably Krishna suggested Arjuna to go to the center or something like that?
no, means what I'm saying is every time people say Krishna is responsible. Now, so far we were seeing Arjuna happy and confident and strong, and now we are going to see a change in Arjuna's confidence. Now, was it because of Krishna or was it because of Arjuna's way only? That is what we want to see. Let us see now. It is just a statement I wanted to make, but as of now, if there is an advocate here, he can say there is no prima facie evidence that Krishna has done anything to alter Arjuna's confidence. You cannot point out anything except he has just listened to what Arjuna wanted. But sometimes we have to be careful what we wish for also. We don't know what we want sometimes. We just do that. Sometimes it's better to allow the divine will to function rather than order something to the divine and ask something what we want. Many times some wishes are fulfilled and then we wonder why did we wish for this. So let us see what Arjuna is going to face. It is like a school child reading for some competition where he has to speak on the stage. Preparation, everything is ready backstage. But when he comes onto the stage, then the stage fright comes. Is Arjuna going to face the same thing? Only Arjuna is no school child, he is already a great hero. He's fought many battles, but this was a very unique battle. Let us see what happens now. तत्र पश्य स्थितान् पार्थः पितृनथ पितामहान् आचार्यान् मातुलान् भ्रातॄन् पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखींस्तथा. Thus present there, Arjuna watched all of his foes, his own uncles and grandfathers who were close, teachers and relatives and his dearest brothers, children, nephews and friends, amongst elders. Shvashuran suhrudaschaiva senayoru bhayorapi tan samiksha sa kaunteya sarvan bandhu navastitan. And his most beloved ones and in-laws too, in both armies, as he stood between the two. Arjuna noticed all those who had gathered to war, every one of them who had come to spar. If probably Arjuna had met them elsewhere or somebody who didn't know the situation would have felt maybe it's some kind of family reunion taking place. But no, it is a battlefield and he's seeing on both sides his own people are there. This side also, that side also. And we see Arjuna is not just some young child. He is probably in his middle ages. He's a mature adult. He has got his children are there, his nephews are there. He's going to become a grandfather soon. So many things are there for Arjuna. He's already experienced such so much life. Yet, when it comes to family, even most experienced people, it shows that they become vulnerable. So here, he has fought several battles. He has fought against most greatest odds and won. He's the greatest archer. So many titles Arjuna has got. Throughout the Gita, we will see so many names: Dhananjaya, Gudakesha, Parantapa, so many names. We'll refer to as Arjuna only for our own understanding to maintain the flow. But each name has a significance. Each name is a title that he has earned with his sadhana. Yet, in spite of all of this, now he's seeing a very unique battle. Both sides, his own people are there. He goes on. Now we see a change in Arjuna. The next shloka, 28th one. Krupaya paraya vishto vishidanna midam abravit Arjuna vacha drishtvevam swajanam Krishna yutsam samapastitam. Despondent and overcome by compassion, a distraught Arjuna spoke in this fashion. O Krishna, my own kin stand here in my sight, all together and filled with a desire to fight. He says, my own family is here and they are all having a desire to hurt. and they are having a desire to attack. My own family is here, Krishna, he says. Now next, we will look at three more shlokas and then stop at shloka number 32. Siddhanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushati vepatushya sharire me romaharshascha jayate. Watching them, my heart gives a cold sigh, and my throat feels all so parched and dry. Down my spine now runs a shiver that makes my whole body shudder. He says, my full body is shaking. Down my spine there is a shiver running. Suddenly my throat is extremely dry. I'm feeling thirsty. And he says, like it's as if he's got a fever, he says, and his heart is now heaving heavily. He's feeling great sorrow on the inside, he says, just watching them. Gandivam sransate hasta tvakchaiva paridahyate na shaknomi avasthatum brahmativa cha me manaha. From my hand slips the Gandiva bow, and my skin seems on fire now. My head and mind are spinning round. Impossible it is for me to even stand ground. So he says this Gandiva Dhanusha, for a warrior, this is the most important thing. It's like my life may go, but I will not leave my weapon. That is the way of a warrior. But now Arjuna's hands are also losing grip. This great weapon, which is a God-gifted weapon for him. Arjuna had also told that if anybody insults this bow also, I will not spare that person. There's an interesting scene in Mahabharata where Yudhishthira insults Arjuna for not having success in the battle, and then he says, what kind of weapon you are having? Now Arjuna is again caught in a dilemma. I have already taken a pledge. Anybody who insults my bow will have to be attacked by me. And so he says, now I have to attack Yudhishthira because he has insulted my bow. Now this is again why Mahabharata tells what you should not do. Luckily Krishna is there and Krishna says, go and give some swear words to Yudhishthira. Of course, this is not the exact dialogue. Krishna asks Arjuna to insult Yudhishthira, saying insulting a pious and good person is as good as killing that person. So you don't have to physically kill Yudhishthira. Don't get so attached to your bow. But this is what Arjuna had respect for his Gandiva Dhanusha. Yet that same weapon is now slipping from his hands. He says, it's slipping from my hand. My skin feels like it's on fire. My mind and head are also spinning. Impossible it is for me to stand ground. I remember discussing this with a friend of mine who's a psychiatrist. He said if Arjuna was in front of him, he would immediately ready a case sheet and say borderline depression. He's having panic attack, anxiety attacks taking place. Let's get him on medication. We have to start treatment right away. Because this is exactly a hero who is so strong, hero who is so powerful, is now suddenly speaking about feeling weak, feeling vulnerable. He is feeling afraid, and he's confessing all of this right before the battle. Then Krishna goes on further, Arjuna goes on further. One thing we see interesting is Krishna is not interrupting him. Normally, if you are in Krishna's position, you would get angry. You have given your Narayani Sena to the opponents. You have taken the pledge that you are not going to personally fight. You have come down from your stature and become a charioteer. And the hero, who has already taken decision to fight, now suddenly develops cold feet and says, no, I am not going to fight. I think when we make plans with our friends and when friends pull out in the last minute, that time we start getting angry. We say, give the choicest of insults to our friends when they break their plans. Now look at Krishna. Krishna's entire planning is around Arjuna, and here Arjuna himself is afraid and he is wanting to escape. This is what we see, a direct change in attitude, a full change, we can say a full 180-degree turn has taken place in Arjuna. Let us go on further. Nimittani cha pashyami viparitani keshava na cha shreyo nu pashyami hatva sajana mahave. Even all the signs that I observe, oh Krishna, they seem so adverse. I see absolutely no fame or pride in killing anyone on either side. So suddenly we see Arjuna pretending to be a drashta also. Somebody like Nostradamus, he says, no, I don't see good signs also now. Probably Krishna didn't listen. Sometimes children tell their parents, I don't want to go to school. I'm feeling feverish. I don't want to do this work. When the parent don't listen, then they try to give new excuses. Something very similar we see Arjuna doing. I am of course making it a little light. It is not really light for Arjuna's side. We are not in Arjuna's position. We are in the comforts of our home. So we cannot perfectly experience the gravity of the situation. But yes, he says, I don't see good signs also. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. He says, I see no fame, I don't see any pride in killing anyone on either side. And on either side. But nobody asked him to kill anybody on his side. But he says, no, if I participate in this battle, I don't see any pride here. He goes on further. 32nd sloka, we'll stop here. न कांक्षते विजयं कृष्ण न च राज्यं सुखानि च किं नो राज्येन गोविंद किं भोगैर्जीवितेन वा. O Krishna, I desire not a victory, nor the comforts of a territory, any kingdom or lordship acquired in this way. Would it not be a waste? What else can I say? Suddenly he says, I do not desire a victory. He says, I don't want to win now. He says, I don't want to participate only. He says, what victory will I get even if I become a Raja of the world? What is the use of such a Rajya? He says, it's a waste in my opinion. He says, what else can I call it? So we will stop here at 32nd shloka. What is interesting we see is a full change in Arjuna from full confidence to suddenly now he is having, we can say, zero confidence, and now he is questioning the very purpose of everything. And what we also see is such a powerful hero can also feel vulnerable. Now this vulnerability is also a human nature only. Probably let us see now what Krishna is going to do. But now we are at this point where our hero Arjuna has already somewhere understood that there is no point in this battle and is trying to seek an escape from this battle. So with this we will conclude today's session. I'll conclude with a Shanti Mantra, after which if anybody has any questions we can look at it, and we can have a small discussion as well if you wish on Arjuna's state right now. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. हरि ओम तत्सत. कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes, please. So this, anybody, what do you think of Arjuna right now? What is his state? Or is he logical when he is saying whatever reason he is giving?
He is jittery right now because the emotions of the relationships are now like overpowering uh, the strength of a warrior and the courage with which he came and the confidence with which he came. The emotions have overtaken. Like for example, if we relate this to our family, let's say, or very close people. So we make so many decisions, or we make so many rules. But when it comes to like our close ones, we become weak.
Yes.
We bend down our knees and we just say, oh, is it what the rules that I've made, the things that I'm going to do, is it right or wrong? Because we become vulnerable because of our relationships.
Yes, Deepti ji, does this have to do anything with mental strength and physical strength, or anybody can become vulnerable irrespective of their?
It is more about the mental strength because more about psychology. I mean, as I said, suppose for example, as a parent, if I am making a certain rule uh, for my child, and when my child, if I see my child crying, if I see my child there and think, oh, is the rule too harsh for him, or is the rule too harsh for her? Then what I say, I start doubting, I start questioning sometimes my rules only. Although deep down I know that the rule is right, but when it comes to relationships,
Probably.
my psyche says that okay, so probably I can bend a little here and there. So it's like because of the close relationship, you become weak. So for Arjuna also, when he was stood right in front of the people who he has grown up with, who have made him, so he became vulnerable. They're like, whether I'm doing right or wrong, although he came with all the full confidence and they're like, bang on, I'm going to just take on. And because that's why he said, I'm going to target all of them. Like, but when he was actually there to see and how I'm going to target them, he was like, what am I doing?
Ji. Yes, Deepti ji. Probably flashbacks of learning archery under Dronacharya, so many experiences with Bhishma, all of them suddenly started appearing. And one thing about Arjuna is he has great mental strength also along with physical strength. Archery is something which requires a lot of concentration. But we see even mentally strong and physically strong person like Arjuna can become vulnerable because I think as Deepti said, suddenly there's something about relatives. When you are connected with them, you suddenly sometimes feel like Superman has got kryptonite there. So all the power is suddenly drained off. So what is this? Is it attachment? Is that vulnerability? or what is it, but something is there we see now, and Arjuna is facing that. We cannot say Arjuna is now having, he's acting, he's actually feeling all of this. It's a complete change in his own point of view in a very short span, but this is what has happened. So yes, let us see now what Krishna does. I think we will see, only we will not.
It's more like
Yes,
strings attached.
yes.
It's more like strings attached, which we don't see, but there's strings attached. So there is till now Arjuna is like there's no he's in the state of string attached, or not like a no strings attached.
Deepti ji, the very nice word, strings attached. So it's like these strings are connecting from our heart and pulling us. The Kathopanishad also speaks about it. Gita also speaks about strings and these bonds. Asha pasha shatair baddhaha, it is said. 100 bonds are there. These bonds of asha which catch a person and they pull a person. The Kathopanishad talks about 101. Why 101? Because 100 are not good and one is right, but that one is the one connected with the divine. So what is it? Let us see. Let us see how Krishna handles. But one thing is there, Krishna is showing a great calm and patience, because if I was there and my friend was going to do something like this, I don't think I would have this patience and I would put up. I would have probably called Bhima to come and give his weapon so I can knock some sense in Arjuna. But no, we see Krishna quiet. Krishna is not intervening. Will he intervene, or will he let Arjuna let out some more steam? That is something we'll see. We'll continue with
Can I
the
add one
journey.
thing here
Yes,
before
Deepti
we
ji.
say bye?
Yes, please.
As you said that Krishna is listening very carefully. I mean, doing as Arjuna said, he's not intervening in his course of thought.
Yes.
It also, I mean, personally, I mean, what I feel is that he is also being a very good listener here.
Yeah.
He's showing patience. He's being a good listener, which we generally don't do. Like we always generally have a tendency to, okay,
React.
I listen to you, and I'm thinking in my mind, how can I advise? How can I advise? It's not like that. I have to be not listening through my sense of ear, but through my brain also. So Krishna is actually listening through his brain more than like the senses that we use.
Deepti ji. Yes, that's another interesting observation. Yes, being a good listener. And even now, Krishna is teaching us, even not by saying anything. Just let us see what Arjuna is going to do. Arjuna, is he going to stop?
I think there's another point in showing all the relations in the other army.
Ji.
You know, that if all of us can see that other armies relations, there will be probably less inclination to war. You know.
Okay.
So like now, Russia and other countries fighting. No, they were all together only few decades back.
Yes, yes.
Now they're saying they're not related to each other, or not friends to each other, fighting with each other.
Yes, yes.
I think there's a much bigger message there when Arjuna is seeing all the relations in the army. You know?
Yes, because human tendency is there. We have this in our heart of hearts. We do not want war. We want peace. But then Dhritarashtra still says Mamakaha Pandavas Chaiva. That only leads to the Mahabharata.
This scene is shown in Bhagavad-Gita or Mahabharata. We have to look a little bit deeper.
Yes,
So,
yes.
And it's not just for about Arjuna or something. I think it's a message for
Yes,
humanity.
for humanity. Yes, yes, Vasudevan ji. Ji. All right. Yes, ji. So yes, I think with this today's session is complete. Unless anybody wants to add something, we can conclude our session today. Yes, please.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om. Hari Om ji. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om ji. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om ji.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.